Good afternoon, Big Blue Nation. This is Lee with That Kentucky Basketball Chick coming to you from our game room in our garage. It is Sunday, March 16th, 2025, and it is Selection Sunday. And we're excited as a Kentucky fan. I think we are going to be a three seed, possibly a four, but from every commentator, everybody that I have heard and listened to, they are saying we are a strong three seed, even with that loss to Alabama, which is what we're going to talk about first. That was the Friday night game. That was very, very late. Started around 8:30, 9 o'clock, and the Cats got a pretty big loss there. Basically a blowout for the Cats. Alabama just took over. The first half, we played pretty well. We competed with them pretty well, stayed with them. At the half, we were only down by 7. But as the second half started, Alabama just took off. And unfortunately, that's how it ended. Or at least that's how the Cats SEC tournament run ended. It was sad. I hate that it ended that way. I was hoping that we would, keep up with Alabama a little bit better and possibly win. I believe that team had the ability to win, but Alabama just took off and we couldn't keep up, and it's sad. We really needed Lamont Butler on the court. We really did. But like I said, anything can happen in tournament time. We could have gotten hot. Our shots just were not falling. They weren't. We had turnovers. And I think I saw the stat that on those turnovers that Kentucky had, Alabama was able to score 29 points off those turnovers. We lost by 29. So I think if we would have kept the turnovers to a minimum and some of our shots would have fallen more, it would have been a closer game. Not sure if we could have really realistically got the win, but, you never know. I was hopeful. I was really, really rooting for them. I think one of the most crazy things that happened during that game was that Owe non-call foul where his lip was literally busted. There was blood all over the court. I cannot believe they didn't call a foul on that. They called actually a foul on him. Makes no sense. He was gone for a very good portion of that first half, and we needed him on the court. This team has just suffered so many injuries. It's not even funny. We just cannot catch a break. With Lamont being out. Well, starting with Kirk Harisa being out, and then Lamont, Jackson. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy not having a true point guard for the majority of the season. But yet we still found ways to win, which is absolutely amazing. We beat Tennessee twice. And I don't think we either didn't have Jackson or we didn't have Lamont, or Lamont went down during the game. So, it just makes you think what would have been if we would have stayed completely healthy. Because I think this team could have been completely unstoppable. Now that doesn't mean we would have won every game. I just think we would have had a better record, and I think we could have made an even deeper run in the SEC tournament. But like I said, it was a disappointing loss. But we got to move forward because we have a big tournament coming up. It'll start Thursday or Friday for us. We will find out actually in the next hour and 45 minutes whether who we play and where we play, and what time we play. I really hope we don't have a very, very late game. I am tired, y'all. I am very tired. Staying up Thursday night till about 2:30 in the morning, and then Friday staying up for the game, and then Western Kentucky had a bunch of tornadoes and storms come through, so we were up at around 3 to about 4, maybe 4:30. with that. So I'm hoping for a little bit of a better time slot, but we will see. We'll see what happens. Historically, the Kentucky games are usually late because they know Big Blue Nation will stay up and watch them, and they will travel to them. So we'll see what draw we have. Like I said before, all the analytics and all or analysts and all the people I listen to are thinking that we are a strong third seed, possibly a fourth. I believe we'll be a third seed. I think we've done enough to take that. I don't know where we're going to be. I've heard West. I've heard Midwest. I don't think we'll be in the East. I really don't. And I'm not sure if we'll be in the South. The last mock bracket that I saw this morning, which was late, I think the podcaster that they, or the show I was watching, Southeastern 16, I think that bracket was older. Like, I don't think it was anything recent, and I think they had us in the South. But I think we'll be playing either in, just like from what I've heard from like KSR, I think we'll be playing in Denver, Cleveland, or Milwaukee. So it'll be interesting. The one thing I think that's interesting about the bracket is, Lexington is a round 1 and 2 site, which means they'll be in Rupp. And one mock bracket that has been put out there is that there'll be Tennessee, Auburn, and Arkansas in Lexington, which is hilarious. Which makes me want to think. So if Arkansas is in Lexington, what locker room do they put Cal in? Do they put him in the Kentucky locker room with the, kind of like the shrine to the 2012? The 2012, I said 2012. I meant 2012 team. That'd be kind of funny. I've also seen or heard of a bracket where Louisville plays Arkansas. So as a Cats fan or a Kentucky fan, who do you root for? I have no idea. That's a hard, decision to make. Last night, Louisville and Duke played, and I definitely rooted for Louisville. I can't root for Duke. I'm sorry. I just can't. I'm sorry. I can't. However, with the Arkansas and Louisville, I think you still root for Louisville, at least this year. Next year it might be a different story, but at least this year I think you root for Louisville. It's just funny. I think it's really funny how some of this bracket thing, and also, guys, the SEC could have 14 teams. 14 teams in this NCAA tournament next week. The SEC has 16 teams overall. So 14 out of the 16 teams will be in. That's a record. I think the last time a conference had the most number of teams in it was the ACC, and it was 11. So for us to have 14, a possible 14, I think 13 is for sure, but to have 14, that's amazing. That's awesome. The SEC has just dominated this year. It's pretty crazy. The SEC tournament was, this year was just amazing. I watched basically every game. There was one game I did not really get to watch. It was the LSU Mississippi State game. I was at a work-related dinner with my husband and on his side. I watched the score, but I guess out of all the games, it's been the most, at the beginning was the most not exciting. But yeah, it was a crazy SEC tournament. And then to say, Auburn was not the winner. Tennessee took out Auburn, which was a great game. It's kind of interesting to me about Tennessee just came in and played better. I don't know what Auburn was thinking. I don't know if they just thought they had it in the bag or what. But then Tennessee and Florida just wrapped up their game about 45 minutes ago, and the SEC 2025 champion is Florida. Florida is a great team. I think they could be a national championship team. Definitely a Final Four team, unless one of these, underdogs come in and just plays amazingly like Oakland did against us last year. But I think they're the real deal. And guess what? Kentucky beat them in January. So we had a healthy team. But that wasn't January. This is March. A lot, teams develop and get better and better, but it's just a reminder that anybody can lose and anybody can win. It's tournament time. So, I'll do my predictions on who the overall number one seed is, and then the top four. From everything that I've seen, read from the analysts and from the sports shows that I listen to, I don't think, man, it's hard because Florida beat Auburn twice this year. That's what I need to find out because that I think is going to be, let's see. So Florida did beat Auburn this year. They are the SEC tournament champion. However, I don't think they played them twice, though. I'm looking. Do. So I don't think they played them twice. No, they did not play them twice. I think if Florida had beat them twice this year, I think there's a big possibility for them to be the number one overall seed. But in this situation, because of how long Auburn had stayed the number one team in the country, I don't think Florida ever became the number one team in the country. I've got to say the number one overall team is Auburn, with Florida being a very close second. Duke might be, it's kind of, a toss-up between Duke and Florida. Florida definitely had the harder conference schedule. But the four number one seeds, I think, is definitely going to be Auburn. I believe it's going to be Florida, Duke. Oh, and I don't know if it's going to be Tennessee or Houston. I'm going to go with Houston. And my reasoning is because that would be 3 out of the 4 number ones being the SEC school, and I just don't see them doing that. But Tennessee is very good, but may also depend on the quad wins. Let me see. How many quad wins? Quad 1 wins. Did Houston have? Let's look. Okay. Houston had a lot of quad 1 wins. They had 14. And then let's look at Tennessee. They had 11. So, yeah, I'm going to stand with my Houston being a number one team because of that. But they may look at strength of schedule, too. The SEC has been a very, 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 very tough conference, very physical, very dominant in the college basketball realm. So, But I think because that would be a third SEC school, that they're going to put Houston above Tennessee. So my 4 is Auburn, Duke, Houston. It did the little bubble with the thumbs up again. Sorry, y'all. Auburn, Duke, Houston, and Florida. Those are my 4 number 1 seed teams. And I could be really, really wrong. Tennessee may squeak in there. We'll see. We'll see here in about an hour and a half what'll happen there. My Cinderella team that I'm going to be watching is Drake. And it's not only because of their mascot, Griff. Griff is awesome. I think he's awesome. I think they should allow all of, I don't want Bevo coming to the NCAA tournament. That would be interesting, though, having a Longhorn in the arenas. But I think, the small dogs and the small animals, live animals, I think that'd be cool to have, Griff and the Butler Bulldog, and then bring Texas A&M's Aggie, the collie dog. And then bring Smokey, Tennessee Smokey. But I don't think they allow them. But I thought I read somewhere that Griff from Drake is going to be there. He has like a little camping chair. It's really, really cool. But he sleeps a lot. So he's kind of low key. Yeah, I think I think Drake's going to be a Cinderella team to watch. I think they're going to upset some schools. I think they are going to be they're really good. They're really good. So there's that. And then we'll talk about St. John's. St. John's, I think, is another team to watch. I have a bet of a case of Dr. Pepper with my dad that St. John's makes the Final Four, and I think it's very possible. Rick Pitino is a wonderful coach, and I think I think they have a potential to make a run. We'll see if UConn's kind of one I just don't think is going to last very long. They may get to the Sweet 16. But you never know. They're going for a three-peat. So Dan Hurley may get his guys in gear. But I think we'll at least see Dan Hurley and his Huskies until the Sweet 16. I think they'll win their first 2 games and then maybe exit then. But, hey, he's entertaining. His antics may be a little bratty and a little bit like being a baby, but they're entertaining. So we'll see what happens there. Of course, and then there's my Cats, my Kentucky Wildcats. I believe they will at least win their first 2 games. I want to say they're going to win it all, but if Butler gets injured again, oh, guys, I just don't know. We're really going to see how these SEC teams really compete with these other teams. Could it be a SEC Final Four? Oh, yeah, I believe it could be an SEC Final Four because they're so dominant. Now, and I can't take credit for this little tidbit, but I would like to, but it's a good thing to think about. The SEC is a very, very physical conference, and the refs have been calling, the physicality of it. They haven't called it all. They've let them kind of play, though you wouldn't think that because of how many foul calls we've endured during the season. But it'll be interesting to see which of these 2 points happen. That the SEC is either going to be the most physical and dominant, a conference in the NCAA tournament, or they're going to get in foul trouble real early, and it's going to cost them, some of these teams, some games. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens there. I still think we're going to be very dominant. I've watched some other teams. They're very low-scoring teams. We're really high-scoring teams. But anything can happen. Anything can happen in March Madness. That's why they call it March Madness. If Butler stays healthy and we play really, really well, I think we could be an Elite Eight team. Depending on how the bracket opens up, we could be a Final Four team, and that is me being very optimistic. So I'm very much aware that we could lose our first game, we could win our first two, and then go home. But as you know, this was a coaching change year. I am very happy with how Mark Pope has what he's done his first year at Kentucky. So win your first game, and the rest is just gravy. But I do want us to go on a run. I would love for us to get past the first 2 weekends. That would be absolutely insane. But if we get past the first weekend, I'll be really, really happy. So we'll see what happens there. Well, I think we've talked about everything I wanted to talk about. We talked about the SEC tournament. We talked about the Alabama game, and we talked about the Selection Sunday the predictions for the bracket. So I think we've talked about everything I want to talk about at this point. We're about an hour and 28 minutes from the selection show to start. We'll see where Kentucky lands and where we go. But until then, let's go Cats.